Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gad, your host. A viewer has requested a natal chart analysis, and that's what we're going to do. First thing I say about this natal chart, I haven't seen a natal chart like this in a while. It's very, what I would call, even, spread out. Most of the natal charts I've been doing lately, it's like a lot of stuff on one side of the chart and a lot of empty spots, but this one's pretty much evened out. So I would just assume this is somewhat of a well evened, edged out person as far as whatever. Now when I say that, that's exactly what I mean. Because some people might think I'm just saying, oh, they're easygoing. I didn't say that. Whatever they've been through in life, it's been kind of like evened out. That's what I mean by that. All right, so the first thing you see, their ascendant, that's where the sun went over the horizon when they were born. Their ascendant, of course, in this case, is also the first house. The ascendant is their rising sign. And the EP, the ascendant is the AC, the EP is the east point, where the sun was going over the ecliptic when they were born. But either way, it's Capricorn. So already we're dealing with possibly an old soul, someone who's lived before. Now, when at her first house, because Capricorn rules the 10th house, so her first house will always be connected to her 10th house. Capricorn rules career, reputation, but Capricorns tend to be, it's an earth sign, and they tend to be more grounded because it's an earth sign, and they may be more, with Capricorn, Cancer gets their security from nurturing, talking, possibly hugs and things of that nature, feeling some type of a motherly or home environment. That's how Cancer gets their nurturing or their security. Capricorn gets his security based on assets. Do I have a job? How much money am I making? Things like that. They want that type of security. So Capricorn, in these areas, they may have a no-nonsense approach. But that doesn't mean that Capricorn is all serious and things like that. It just means in those areas. And when we get to the 10th house, we'll revisit this first house. So they say, what is your rising sign, Capricorn? Now, the second house is Aquarius, but this is your money, possessions, value system. Whenever you see Aquarius in the second house, this is a person who, when they think of money, they think of how can the money help, like the environment around me, the community around me. So when they see money, they're seeing money kind of to spend it that way, or somehow they're going to spend some of that money that way. Aquarius can be very innovative, can be very scientific, very free-spirited person. Does not like to like if they're in a relationship, they still want that freedom, that independence, that freedom, and they don't necessarily need somebody calling them all the time. How are you? What are you doing? I was thinking. They don't necessarily need that because it kind of feels kind of makes them feel locked in, and they will kind of retreat one way or another if somebody, somebody might be well-meaning, but to Aquarius they want that freedom. So if you're dealing with Aquarius, you tend to have to give them leeway, and they're gonna have that same mentality in the second house, and that's kind of interesting because whereas Capricorn wants to know what's going on, just like Saturn, the planet Saturn rules Capricorn, so Capricorn wants to know what's going on, but Aquarius is more free-spirited, so that you're probably going to see this person switching a little bit now because it's becoming this way already. Now you have to go to the 10th house because you got to find out what's going on. Yeah, so that's interesting, but their medium quality is in the 10th house. Looks like it's at 28 degrees. I would definitely call that a critical degree. Some people just, 29 degrees is critical, or 0 degrees might be considered a critical. But anything I see like 28, I would still say that's a critical degree. But see, the interesting thing is, it's almost like in a past life, they were more earthy. Whereas in this life, the universe is trying to say, hey, you've got to learn how to be a little bit more, just going with the spur of the moment. Because I just find it very interesting how their 10th house, Libra right there. So you know this is some type of twin soul stuff. Why? Because the ascendant is Capricorn, and then when you go to the 10th house ruled by Capricorn, Libra's right there. So you know this is some type of relationship house. But even so, when you see Libra in the 10th house, that's your career and reputation. This could be a business partnership. It can be a relationship as well. But it can even be something legal situations. And this could all be like a business partnership or a career. Open enemies are there, even cemeteries are there. So this is all going on. It could be a relationship, it could be marriage counseling. All is a kind of career because this is your 10th house. But it still is a reflection of your first house. And then when your medium coeli, MC, that is going to take you, that works with your true north node. So we would have to find out your true north node and learn a little bit more. I think I already saw it, and I think I see your true north node with Venus. That's what I look. I'm just looking out the corner of my eye because I'm trying to stay in one chart. The way your chart is, you can't stay in one. You can't stay in one house. It's almost like this is intertwined. So you're going to be bouncing all over the place a little bit. But this is, to me, it's looking like some type of past life things that's in this life, and it's definitely soul mate, twin soul connected. And again, I'm gonna say this again. You'll always be connected to your twin, even if you guys don't necessarily become a couple in this life, or maybe you meet your twin soul and you guys do not get along, can't get past it, don't get along, but you're still gonna have a lot of similarities. Like if somebody put a camera on you two, even if y'all didn't work together, or whatever, y'all would do so many things that were similar. It would be shocking. And I remember I used to just look at my twin flame and say how much she would just imitate me. And now I work with a soulmate, and she's a lot like me too. So we're all connected. So that's why the more we learn about this and get past the our pains, the more we can try to reach out to that person. Right now, like I'm saying on my channels, and if you study these people out here on YouTube, these astrologers and card readers, right now we are in a purge that deals with Scorpio, Venus retrograde. There's a purge going on because people have to get healing, and a lot of people just want to hold it in. They don't want to deal with the repressed energy. They don't want to deal with their 8th house, their 12th house, all these shadow sides and hidden sides. So what happens is the universe is going to shake it up. You might get into a big dispute with your neighbors, and unfortunately, information starts to get spilled out. Maybe they finally crossed the line to where you say, how dare you, you of all person. Like I had a very filthy person come up to me and try to ask me a question about cleaning. How dare you? How dare you ask me about cleaning? You of all people. Peppermint Patty. Was it Peppermint? Whoever that was on the Schultz. The Peanuts comic that was just totally dirty. I don't think it was Peppermint Patty, but it's her friend or something. But the female was just totally filthy dirty. Or it was a boy or something, I forget. No, Peppermint Patty had that little girl that was like her personal assistant. I think that, and then they had that void that was just totally dirty. So you have no right to ask me a question. So these things come out and they hurt feelings, but they have to be brought out because people's little dirt and their little shadow sides have got to be dealt with. So the universe is doing that right now. It's a shakeup. It's a purge or an expose, and people are not going to like you. But unfortunately, sometimes it has to be brought out, especially if they're crossing the line. Because once you cross that line, I'm going to respond. If you dump some stuff in my yard, you're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from me talking to the township. You're going to hear from me talking to, if that's illegal dumping, talking to the police. You're going to hear me, if you call yourself such a holy roller religious person, you're going to hear me deal with that. How can you knock on other people's door and tell them how to be neighbors when you're some of the filthiest neighbors I've ever had in my life? So we're going to deal with it all, but that's the expose, but that's because they pushed, and now the push comes back. But see, my push is more in tune with the universe because I know what's going on in astrology. And what I'm trying to tell you is that the universe will make people do things so that they do get exposed. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do. If you have an abusive person, the best thing you can do is rat him out because he's going to keep beating somebody. He might beat somebody and kill somebody. Then he's going to be in jail for the rest of life. Then he's going to be saying, oh, I wish somebody had stopped me sooner. Now I'm looking at 30 to 40 years in jail. If only somebody had just stopped me sooner. Why did they let me get so crazy? Well, when they get that crazy, you better get out of my face. I don't care. I'll do what I want. Everybody's a tough guy until that judge slams down that gravel, and then you're carted up state. And then when you see some real killers and some real gangsters and some real thugs, you might not be so tough no more. But now it's too late. So this is all the expose. And that's why I'm saying that the universe is doing that to help people. Because some of these people, they're on a highway to hell, 1 foot on a roller skate or a skateboard, and the other foot on a banana. So they need intervention. And that's what happens when the universe comes in with the expose. And that's what's going on right now in astrology and the world this November 2018. So we're going to try to go forward, because then once you go to your 10th house, you could go to your 7th house because of Libra, but you also want to go to your true north node because of medium coeli. Medium coeli, the MC, works with your true north node. So I don't want to do all that bouncing around. I was trying to go from house to house if I can. Sometimes I go from house to house, sometimes I go, but this one is going to be it's a unique read. I already told you that. Very rarely do I see charts like this. I used to a long time ago, but most of my charts lately have been like most of the planets and everything line up on one side of the chart or stuff like that. It's not as spread out like this. But we can already see this is some past life stuff going on with your twin soul, who is also your twin flame. Now, when you get in your house or your 3rd house, so this person is a master communicator. Why? Because Mercury rules Gemini. Gemini rules the 3rd house. It's all about creativity, multitasking, very mental person, very intelligent, using that intellect, multitasking, dealing with siblings, the environment around you. But the 3rd house also deals with creativity, short travel, and children, younger ones. And then you add Pisces there, so you know this is some type of spiritual communicator. And because it's dealing with children, they may be some type of, or have been some type of Sunday school teacher. And that's their sun sign, with Chiron healing. Now, because of the Pisces energy takes them to the 12th house. Pisces rules the 12th house. And they have Sagittarius there with part of fortune. So again, like I said, this is some type of teacher. Remember, Sagittarius rules the 9th house, whereas the 3rd house deals with short travel, younger education, The ninth house ruled by Sagittarius deals more with long distance travel, culture and class, uh, older in age education, but it's a higher education. And what happens is in the 12th house, the person's got to learn to use their Sagittarius higher education, culture, class. Could also be in-laws when you see Sagittarius that rules the ninth house. But they have to use all that energy in an unselfish way. So instead of you saying, hey, I'm in the 12th house, I could really use my Sagittarius energy to really benefit myself and make some money. You're actually supposed to be saying, hey, how can I use my Sagittarius energy to help the people be more cultured, more into philosophy and religion, more concerned with higher laws, and help in-laws to work together. So you have to have the 12th house is a house of service because it's also dealing with karma. So that's how you help meet your karmic debt in the 12th house, is by taking that sign there and using it to help other people with that energy. So the 12th house is also about closure. What's in your subconscious. And when you go to your ninth house, look what's there: Virgo. But then you got Pluto retrograde and Saturn retrograde, and you keep seeing 22s on your chart because where your sun is 22, and then where your Uranus is 22. So whenever you see retrogrades, they usually have to do with your past life. So once again, that's something that would have to be looked at when we get there. And you say, well, why would Virgo be in the ninth house? Well, we would have to continue to go around the chart, and we'll probably get that answer. Now, when we get to your, see, I see a true north node is really with Taurus, but Taurus also is ruled by Venus. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So now when we get to your fourth house, you see that Aries there. See that Aries goes back to your first house. And you have Saturn there at 1 degree. So there was definitely some type of disciplinarian in your house, the family by which you were brought up in. And unfortunately, that's why I say a lot of times, this is all about karma and past lives. Because if you take my natal chart, in the ninth house, I have the medium coeli, and I have Saturn retrograde with Aquarius. Now, Saturn retrograde can mean abuse. Now, I don't have a lot to go by, but I know how my life was. And you know, there could be 1,000 reasons why my life was the way it was. But I do know when I met my twin flame, one thing about her that I can tell you is a certainty. She will look at me a lot of times, and she will look almost like a little girl just staring at me. Like a little girl just in wonderment. And they just scared the hell out of me. And I never understood that till years later. Because I kept studying to find out what's going on. So a lot of times she would just follow me through the building and follow me. But then when I would try to talk to her or whatever, she would act like I'm stalking her. And I never understood it until like later. So I remember one time I thought we had got past the foolishness, because she had told me she had a boyfriend or something. She whatever. So I figured, well, at least now we can talk. Like, why still be, treat each other? Because I didn't understand them. Why can't we talk? Why treat each other like garbage? I never understood that. So I remember one time I was walking, she is in the back or whatever, and we saw each other. So first I said, what's up or something. So she said nothing, like she went nothing. So then I was walking, and I just thought that was stupid. I'm like, are we still arguing? Like, I thought you said you had a boyfriend, so why are we still arguing? So then I turned around and looked at her again. I said, really, how are you doing like that? And then that her whole persona changed. Like, and then that little girl came out again. She said, fine. Then she said, how are you? Like, she was totally different, because to her I showed some attention, and then that made her change. Like, that little girl came out. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a possibility that in a past life, maybe that little girl is somebody I hurt. And then in my life, this life as a kid, I had a very abusive father, very violent, and just a very dysfunctional family. So when you see, like, my moon sign is Capricorn. See, I'm looking at your moon sign now. My moon sign is Capricorn in the 8th house. This is all about reincarnation. This is all about past lives. So, and then that's where then my true north node opposes it in the 2nd house with Cancer in the 2nd house, which is opposing the moon sign Capricorn in the 8th house. So this is your south node, that Capricorn in the 8th house with the moon. That's your south node, which is your past life. So again, if I was Capricornian, maybe too serious, and remember that 8th house can be very violent, very obsessed, and all kind of crazy stuff goes on there. A highly watery, emotional house. So looking at my natal chart, it's almost implying that I was so Capricornian that I really didn't care a whole lot about a whole lot of stuff. So then they put me, so my true north node now puts me in Cancer in the 2nd house, but that's going to be about family, home, your mother, all that stuff. So when I look at life from my natal chart, though I have no solid evidence to say that's what it is, it kind of seems like that. It kind of seems in my past life, South Node, I was more about Capricornian stuff, to the point of being even harsh or mean or abusive. And so now in this life, I got that karma that I'm paying for. And that's why me and my twin flame was never going to connect. And that's why it had to end the way it did with my reputation, because this is all Capricornian. Losing my job because of her, reputation looks all crazy because of her. So on your chart, you get to your 4th house and you see Aries, that's aggression. Now your Lilith is direct. So we really have to look at that. That moon in your 4th house. Your 4th house has to do with teenage to adult education, land, property, real estate, family and ancestors, your heart, vehicle and travel. And whoever raised you in a mother position when you were younger, that person will be in your subconscious mind for your entire life. But she's Imum Coeli. And this is usually, she's represented by the moon, and the moon rules Cancer. So whenever you see the moon in your 4th house, right away you're dealing with Imum Coeli. And when you see Venus with the moon, you see that love. But you also see Saturn, which is kind of implying that Saturn not only was a controller, because Saturn likes to control and regulate, Saturn can also get Aries aggressive or abusive. So this person may have had their mother, who they may have had a decent relationship with, but they also dealt with that male Saturnian aggression or authority, and I wouldn't even doubt that that's the energy that I'm talking about. Don't come up in here breaking my shit up. No, because all you gotta do is check out my other reading, the angel card reading, because that energy showed up and that girl was not playing, and it was still Aries. For all I know, she's still here. Like that girl came in tough, knocking my stuff over. Like, calm down, lady. You can't be scared, people. All right. So that's that energy, and then Saturn rules Capricorn, and then you go right back to your first house. But see, then you would have to be careful, because that's your first house is defining your personality. But it can also define your past life as well. So you have to be very careful of your Aries, Saturn, Capricorn energy, because it can be very abusive. And whenever you see anything like this in the fourth house, we know we have to warn people to be careful, because you don't want to be abusing children. Because that's definitely your fourth house, fifth house, and stuff like that. Even your third house, they're there as well. So you got a lot of Lilith there in your fourth house, and you got a lot of mother energy with the moon and even Venus here. So it's a lot of love that ran to your fourth house to shield you from that Saturn Aries aggression. But unfortunately, you still carry it in your first house. Like my sister was a splitting image of my father. It's how families are. It's like my sister was a splitting image of my father. Now my mother didn't get along with my father, but she got along with my sister. But yet my sister was a spitting image of my father. And now I guess I'm more like my mother, but I didn't really get along with my mother too much. So it's just funny how the world works. So that's something that probably is with you that you have to be mindful of. That Saturn, Aries energy in your fourth house is going to be in your first house, which is your personality. So you have to be very careful. So with Lilith, we're going to try to look at Lilith in the fourth house, as well as Lilith in Aries. So give me a moment, please. Just give me a moment. I'm opening up these WordPad documents. Lilith and Aries, the mode of immediate instinctual response is what feels marked for difficulty from others. The Aries way of immediate response to external events will be wrapped up in the person's experience of Lilith's story. See, we want to try to get a little bit more than that. They say, okay, now this is Sanja Peric, Sanjaperic. They it's Hindu, but I kind of get the feeling he's telling the truth. He said people that have Lilith in Aries have a pronounced need to retaliate when hurt. Now, I recently got into a dispute with a friend of mine. But when people have been on the planet long, if you're the type of person that learns from experience, a lot of things we do, like if you're older, a lot of things we do are based on experience. There's a reason for things now other people won't understand that. But it is what it is. When I was younger, we went down south en route to Disney World or Disneyland, Walt Disney. Now we got to one hotel, I guess it was. Who knows? I don't remember. But anyway, this man comes on a bus, and I guess the bus driver must have knew the drill. I really don't know. But this man comes on a bus like Mr. Rock, and he says, "Welcome to this hotel." He said some other stuff, then he immediately said, "I want you all to know, anything in this hotel is mine. It belongs to me. Don't touch what's mine. Don't try to take what's mine. It's mine and it is not yours. Do not come in this hotel and take anything with you. It's mine." He said, "In fact, before you leave, we will check everything." Now keep in mind, I was a little boy. This is a long time ago. I still remember this. That man was standing in front of me right now because I had never heard somebody that bold. And I'm just a little kid. I'm saying, well, okay, I understand he's pissed off that they're stealing from him, but we're still like the freaking customers. Like, how is he getting away with this? So that and I mean, they still would have stole too, but that was like a church bus. It was a church trip. So I mean, that's the type of stuff you would see like in Animal House with Dan Aykroyd and they're the Blues Brothers. You would see something like that like in the Blues Brother movie with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, because that was just crazy. That he would stop, and how the bus must have knew he was going to do it, because the bus driver never said, "Hey, you can't talk to him." The bus driver didn't say nothing. And that bus opened, that man got up on it and walked in and read the people a riot act. And when he said your bags and stuff will be checked, and you know, back then you would have said, "Hey, that's crazy. You can't check my bag. You didn't buy this bag. You're not checking my bag." But nowadays they do that when you go to some of these stores. They'll literally look inside your bag, which I think is crazy. Because if I paid for it, you don't have a right to look at my bag. And if I was younger, I'd duke it out. I'd be like, "You're not looking at my bag." But now they do. So that man was way ahead of his time. Now, at the end of the trip, he didn't look in anybody's bag. He was bluffing. But I don't know what he would have found if he did. Because I had towels and no, I didn't have anything. I was just a little kid. Man, other people with me, I don't know. They were adults. They might have tried to grab something. But I don't think nobody grabbed something after that. So that's Lilith and Aries. You're not going to F me. I'm going to get you before you get me. If it even looks like you're trying to diss me, I'm going to diss you first. Because they've been hurt before. See, you got to understand this is going on in the fourth house. So if somebody's been hurt before, like when Jay-Z said to Nas, "I will not lose." I knew what he meant. That had nothing to do with the rap battle. He was trying to say, I've been through so much in my life that I've come through. There's no way I'm going to let you beat me in a rap battle. That's what he meant when he said, "I will not lose." So that's how you get, nobody's ever going to hit me again. Nobody's ever going to hurt me again. So that's the Lilith in Aries that they're talking about. And they say, now this one is called, now that was, I already told you what that was. This is Lena Wolfgard, and she calls it dark astropsychology, and she does it again. But she does say it's violence, just like I was saying. And this is why it's good to request your natal chart, because this is the perfect time to deal with this. This is the perfect time to deal with this, because right now Venus and Scorpio are telling us to deal with our shadow sides and our pains and our repression. And usually Lilith deals with repression, especially when she's reversed. But this time your Lilith is direct. So Lilith in Aries symbolizes the general meaning: independence, militancy, sexual behavior, stubbornness, impulsiveness. It's the karmic legacy of violence. Sometimes there's an expressed fear of blood, even in terms of hospital case such as surgery or injections at the health center. Aries symbolizes the action forward, the beginning, the attack, and it says Mars rules this sign. With Lilith laid here, we got a problem with all the above. We get dilemmas, whether to start something or not. Fear of failure, fear of the possibility of restrictions, fear of commitment. Every beginning looks like a trap. Due to these fears comes the making the wrong decisions, immobilizer, self-block, unconscious desire for the possession of power is very high. And again, if you've ever been victimized, you are going to want to be in control. This is how John Cena destroyed everything with Brie Bella, because he had been hurt before. So he was going to make sure he controlled every situation so he wouldn't get hurt again. So he drove that poor woman crazy. And she put up with all that, hoping to someday be married and hoping to have children. She put up with all that, and that was going to be her greatest day, because she didn't let his insecurities kill her dream of marriage. But then when it finally became a reality, John Cena was a bitch the whole time. He didn't want to be married, and he made sure she knew it. He totally destroyed her desire to be. He didn't want to have kids, so he just destroyed her. And finally, that's what it took. But see, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what's going on right now. This is the Venus stuff now, because people are not going to keep backing down. Like when I talk about my neighbors, I've known them since I was little. So I try to be respectful, but they've crossed the line way too much. So now I'm going to give them a little spanking. They've been disrespecting me, playing mind games with me, all kind of crazy stuff for well over 30 years. So now they're going to get a little spanking. And that's why I made sure they're not going to weasel out of this one. So I'm making sure all bases are covered, that you're gonna have to answer to somebody about your conduct, because it darn sure ain't Christian, and you guys are knocking on people's doors talking about love thy neighbor and all this crap, and you don't do it. And your own husband said that. Your own husband said it. So it is what it is. So no more Mr. Nice Guy. Now you're gonna meet Mr. Tell-All, because that's where we're at. The expose. This is what we're gonna be doing this month. And this is why this information is coming out, encouraging people to deal with it. Even if it's tough, because I'm a victim of violence myself. But you got to deal with it in order to go on, in order to heal. You got to deal with it some type of way. And that's what the person said to me last night. Oh, I'm going through stuff. Yeah, I know you're going through stuff, but come on, I've known you for about 2 years. You choose not to go. You keep trying to walk through it, and that's why you're not getting better. And now you're violating me, and you can't see it. And you're trying to play the victim card, and I'm not going to let you play the victim card, because you're the aggressor, not me. But now I'm going to aggressively tell you what the problem is, and if it costs a friendship, so be it. It's kind of like when you have a job, and you're supposed to have a level of professionalism and a level of trust. So if you're a male psychologist, and you have some female patients that have been abused, raped, everything, you're supposed to be helping them heal. You're not supposed to be having sex with them. So you're violating that trust. You're violating that position, and you shouldn't be in it. Just like a police officer who stops a young girl or whatever, she's 18, and he basically tells her, you're going to jail unless you let me have. That's a rape. You're a rapist. That's the same thing as a rapist. What makes it any different than a rapist raping her? Nothing, except that you're a cop. So now you just step down. Oh, I don't want to be prosecuted, so I'll just retire or I'll leave. No, you should be handcuffed just like any other rapist. So these are the games we play on the planet. But that's why if the universe does its job, it's going to raise up people that are not going to take that crap. And if you're really studying the news, you see that more and more. Everybody's starting to stand up and say, I am somebody. I do matter. Everybody's beginning to go up against this beast that has been violating civil rights and violating people for decades and hundreds of years possibly. And now more and more people are standing up for it. And then you got a guy in the position of the president who's saying, you people ain't coming over here. And then you got those people saying, yes, we are. So the people are standing up. Now, I'm not saying who's right or wrong. I'm just telling you what's going on right now. And why am I doing this? Because it's on your chart with all this. A lot of repression, stuff that has to be dealt with. And that's why a lot of times your ascendant, which became your first house, in some ways is still your 12th house as well. Because your 12th house also means there's stuff there that has to be dealt with. And that's why the chart is not a typical like house 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if it was house 1, then directly across from it would be house 7. And your chart is a little off. It's a little slanted. But when I say they, I'm talking about the creators who put your chart and everything together. They did that on purpose. Because it's these issues and things that have to be dealt with. So they say this type of person with Lilith and Aries is going to be some type of a rebel. And again, this could be younger days as well. They may resist the law. They may be resistive to authority, opposition to superiors. They resist orders. They say to control their behavior like that is almost impossible. They say aggression is high. Soul bears karmic quest to establish control over the passions, emotions, and impulses. Person can be very self-centered. They want to dominate any situation. So they say what happens when they get that very self-centered or egotistic, that the universe will come to force them to limit the ego, to learn how to lower that ego, the head, the pride, and to learn how to comply with other people's desires and appetites. So the lessons the karmic lessons they have to learn, the karmic debts they have to pay, self-control, be creative, limit your hyperactivity, reducing pride and defiance. You have to learn how to accept life circumstances, learn how to utilize life solutions, learn how to use independence, and also how to break through the problems. They have to learn how to abandon the ego. They have to learn patience, and they put that in all capital letters. So they say they try to do this on their own, it's going to be hard, and they lead to a rapid decline or withdrawal. So they say because of this reason, the universe will force this person to learn how to follow others. And nobody wants that, especially if you are a victim of abuse. The one thing you don't want is somebody to make you do something that you kind of fighting against. But when a person becomes aware of this, they can do something about it if they want to. So that's why I was saying about the person I was talking to. Okay, you're living in a fantasy world. And again, I'm a victim of violence as well. So don't think I'm trying to be insensitive. But we have to do something about it. You can't live your whole life in repression. And I'm sorry whatever happened. But if you're coming and saying, "Oh, I want my chart done, or I want to know what's going on," well, until you're willing to deal with that, it's not going to change. And the last time I read that person's chart, I was like, you could see it. I said I could see why, because it was love. Like her chart was unbelievable love, like unbelievable. But she won't open up to it because she won't deal with those issues. So what she's doing, she's projecting it on me, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is not how this is going to go. You're gonna work on your chart, okay? Because I'm not the cop. I'm not trying to rape somebody. I'm not trying to sleep with somebody. Because you're taking advantage of a situation. You're supposed to be helping a person. That's unethical. So she may not understand that, but it was at the point I was just frustrated with her. I was like, nah, okay, that's it. I don't want to hear no more of your excuses. That's it. Because like I got family the same way, but all my family's strong. The only one of my family that's dead is the hard-headed one that wouldn't listen. She's gone. The other ones, the ones that listen, they're still alive. I got some of my family way been like alive a long time, decades. Because they're hard-headed, but they have to listen. Because you can't just do it the F you want to and think you're going to live forever. You're actually knocking off years off your life by thinking you know everything, by thinking you're going to do everything. And that's why I said it may sound like hard love or whatever, but even these so-called neighbors, because they're kind of like family too. They got to learn you just can't do what you want to all the time. Lying on another person's reputation. Especially like when you're dealing with somebody like me, because I'm an ordained minister. So I'm already going to have a great relationship with God. See, a lot of stuff is spiritual. And there's some stuff people don't understand. Like when you have a great relationship with God, be careful. Because when somebody approaches you, they're not just approaching you, they're approaching God. And even their God. I used to be a member of their religion. I got a great relationship with their God. So they're putting themselves in a situation that they don't realize. That's why the worst thing they could have done was illegally dump all that stuff on our property. They finally effed up. Because up until then, everybody thought they were nice people and blah, blah, blah. But once you can go out there and rake all these leaves up off the street and branches and throw that stuff on our yard, talking about that's our stuff, when everybody knows that the township came and took all our leaves and took all our branches. So those weren't our leaves, those weren't our branches, that was stuff on the street that you just want to throw to try to make some type of statement because your crap is always coming on our property and I'm sick of it. And we're getting the tickets, we're getting the township. We got to keep calling the township saying this ain't our stuff. And we're starting to tell you we're getting sick of this. You guys got to be held accountable. They don't want to be held accountable, but they think they're going to duke it out with me. They're trying to make it personal, but that's where they made their biggest mistake. Because now there's evidence. Well, there was never evidence before, but now there's evidence that you don't care about the township ordinances, you don't care about us, and you ain't this neighbor that you're knocking on the door telling people, oh, you got to be a nice neighbor and love your neighbor, but you ain't even doing it, hypocrite. So, expose. But that's what happens when you keep hiding. You keep hiding. Best believe the universe is in full control. My father died a horrible death. My sister died kind of a horrible death. Karma is going to get you at some point. So if you're alive and you're hearing this video, this is the best time with Venus, Scorpio. This is the best time to say, hey, I really got to face those dark issues. It's hard, but I still got to do my best to try to face it. Because you're not going to be allowed to run away from it. And no form of abusive behavior is going to be tolerated by the universe, whether it's coming from a female or a male. That's why I had to ask the question, how dare you? How dare you ask me about cleaning and cleaning solutions? How dare you? All right, so that is the Lilith in Aries and why it's there. Now let's see if there's anything else we can get before we move on. Lilith's position tells us about unfulfilled wishes, the suppressed shadow side of our personalities, painful experiences, privation, and darkness. As with Pluto, the process triggered here should lead to self-recognition and the acceptance of our dark side. Good and bad should not be differentiated from each other, but human experience should be seen as many-faceted. And that's how your natal chart is. Your natal chart is many-faceted. All right. It says Lilith in the 4th house is a challenging placement because it directly affects one's childhood years and family. So they say Lilith is detriment in the sign of Cancer. The native's early years are disharmonic, and there are problems with at least one parent, and I think we identified one there. They say the 4th house is responsible for the less dominant parent, which is in most cases the person's mother. But we're not going by that because we're going by what's actually in the house. We're not just assuming because it's the 4th house. No, we're not doing that. We're going by what the chart is telling me. Now that's saying that Lilith can give an unloving mother that abandons her child. See what they're telling you, which I'm saying. I don't really think it was the mother, because you see that Venus right there. In fact, I think the mother tried her best to be a shield. What I'm seeing is the father, but the father probably has some Lilith issues. See, these natal charts will tell you a lot. Plus, there is a connection that when you're doing this, that you are connected to spirit, you are connected to the universe. But I think the father had some Lilith issues. The father may have had some other issues, which is why he might have had a problem with females. So Lilith in the 4th house might mean separation of the parents, divorce of the parents, some form of unfaithfulness or sexual infidelity. But yeah, it could be something that has to do with step parents. So they say now that this is why the person would have to get the help they need, because then they're going to bring that same environment into their family when they have a family. Or sometimes they just go to the other extreme. Oh, somebody might say my father was abusive, or my mother didn't hug me or love me, and then they really they spoil their kids. See, discipline ain't bad, because I know I might have had a rough, but I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for that. That's why, like I said, I'm a little bit different, because I think I came up in a generation it wasn't nothing to throw a kid across the room or some stuff like that. But I took it so that when I went out in the real world, if somebody tried some crazy stuff with me, I was ready for it. And if a big bully tried to bully me, I just beat him up like my father, like oh, you're not gonna put your hands on me. So I just learned how to take that energy and make it work. But I'm not saying you should do it. But what I am saying is you can't not have discipline either. So there has to be a balance between a good old fashioned little spanking and not just letting your child just walk around and not being disciplined. So that's why I said the mistake we make here on third dimensional is we get older, but we don't become adults. And me, I want to be an adult. I don't want to be a grown ass kid because I'm not a kid anymore. But unfortunately, I'm on a planet that doesn't feel the same way most of the time. Because if it did, I wouldn't have this problem I got now with the neighbors. They would handle their debris and everything, and there'd be no problem. Nobody's mad that sometimes it rains and your debris comes down. We're mad because you never come and get it. You never say you're sorry, and you'll come out of your house and see all your stuff on our property and keep it moving. You'll walk right past it, you'll drive past it when you know that's your stuff. So the arrogance is what we have a problem with. And then what they did now is throw all that stuff from the street, rake it up, and put it and almost blocked my mother in the driveway. So that was the last straw. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because see, I can't run over there and say anything because then immediately you'll have police all around you. Because all they're trying to do is bait me into some crazy stuff. But they finally went too far. So Lilith in the 4th house means that she's going to spend a lot of time working in the 10th house. So that's your Capricorn, as well as your 10th house. So Lilith in the 4th house means there's going to be a lot of secrecy about the natives' ancestors. And when you talk about that, you talk about Pee Wee Herman. Because here was a guy that held on to a lot of secrets. And then whatever his problem was, he went out to a public place and did something that got himself arrested and exposed. But instead of him just dealing with it, he totally just walked into court, pled guilty, boom, 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 and just took it. But it was probably because it was a lot of information about either him or his family that he didn't want to come out. He didn't want it to come out. So he just said, let's just shut this down. Plus, a lot of people say he had made so much money and he was just tired of playing that character because everybody wanted them. Everybody wanted to see Pee Wee Herman. So he's in big demand and he just wanted out. And I think he had a lot of Lilith because Lilith will do something like that. He just wanted out because there's many places he could have went to do that. Why go a public place? And all the money he had, he could have had somebody come to his location. So why do that? Because he just wanted out. He wanted to be out. He wanted to be caught. He wanted to be exposed. And then he could just walk in the courtroom and just plead guilty. And that's the end of nobody wants him no more. But he still got all that money. So when you look at it that way, you can understand business. From his perspective, it's just business. Because he gets out all those contracts and he still got all that money. And he don't gotta put on that outfit no more for a long time. And he don't have to worry about nobody ever calling him saying, hey, would you bring your character to this location? Especially if he didn't want to go. Now they're saying with Lilith in your 4th house, there can be dark powers running the blood of some female ancestors. But what I'm trying to tell you, there's a lot of men that have this spirit. And you can see it just by how they act. Overly sensitive or, quick to really overreact. And so this person may have felt like a scapegoat or rejected, alienated from his roots. And I already said that the disciplinarian, you can see him in the 4th house, and they said this person may have suffered a lot of discipline or physical punishment or even verbal abuse. Or like I said, a typical dysfunctional family people argument. They said, but there are positive things that come out. That's what I was telling y'all. To me, I just flipped it. But they said this type of person will be able to survive in difficult situations. They become a strong character. They can excel in their career. And they may find themselves in authority positions that involve control. So there may be possible negative ancestral karma. So this person, they're saying this person would have to be very careful in forming a family, or they may choose not to form one. What I try to tell people is you can form a family, but you just have to be honest. Because, lying about it is only going to get worse. And that's why I said that friend, they work very hard. But it was hard because it was really a teacher situation. Kind of like if you work for your boss, you and your boss might be friends, but they're still a boss. I work for somebody like that now. They're still a boss, so you can't just go, I'm a goof off today because me and so and so are boss. The boss, haha, that's my. No, he sees he's gonna come over there and he's gonna read you the right act just like he would anybody else. Just because we're friends don't mean you're gonna take advantage. This is the business. So that's why I said you had a person who didn't want to work on issues, and it just got worse and worse. And then, like I said, and that's what's gonna happen. But what that person was just hard headed because their chart was beautiful. Like you could see it. The person that they're really supposed to be with was all on the chart. Just like I said, what just happened now, that was a spirit. That's why at the exact moment I was talking about that, the exact moment I created, and that already happened. You can go right now to the video. A video right now where I talked about Sagittarius energy or Aries energy or twin flame showed up during reading. Any of that title, I forget where that video is. That video I might have put it on the other channel. I didn't put it on Archangel Revelations and Prophecy 444. I put it on the other channel, and I don't know. I might have just made it private because I'm going to change a few things. But that's what happened. That energy came out of nowhere, and they made sure they let me know who they were and why they were there. So you want to form families, but you just want to be honest. You might need counseling, or just be honest with the child, things like that, so the child can be aware of certain things. Because otherwise, your child will feel a certain way, and the child will never know why. Because you'll never tell them, well, I feel kind of cold because that's how I was raised. So now the child can understand, and maybe you can get help for that. So as if you have this placement, you might unravel that you possess deep instincts of emotionally hurting people. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. I call it the mind FUCK. When you're just around people and they just go out of their way to try to hurt you or play games. Because like I said, my neighbors did that all the time. They're just fully exposed. And the reason why they're exposed now, because now people are waking up to metaphysics. Like I'm awoke to metaphysics. And before it might have been spiritual, so spiritual, but you can tell both of those people go out of their way to lie on you, try to get inside your head, And this is what this is talking about. But what people got to understand with me is this. Like all the female goddesses and saints always come see me. And even with Lilith. Lilith used to always come see me. Wake me up in the middle of the night. You just hovering over you. Just screaming. Like, ah. But I'm glad. And that's why I said even on my natal chart, my true north node is with what? The Cancer or the feminine. So I have no problem with that. Now me, definitely always tell everybody I'm strictly heterosexual. But I have no problem with my feminine side. Because you have a feminine and everybody does. But, you know, because of the way the world is, people are just scared to death. So, Lilith may lure this person to hurt the moon power of other people. And that'll be the moon power, the emotions, the secrets, the motherly side, the feminine side. If you're sensitive or emotional. Oh, why do my neighbors always toot the horn? Every time I come outside, they lock their car door. They've known me for years. I've never done anything to them. Why are they doing this? Because they're crazy. And they got some type of little shit going on. So you got to know that so you don't be crazy no more. Because that's how you win fights. Like I said, the best way to fight a person is to get inside their head. But once you can't get inside their head no more. Like you used to watch those bully movies when a person finally get, they're not going to let you get bullied. That was the that was the video that my friend just sent me yesterday, where the little girl was trying to sing a song, and it was so funny. It was a little white girl trying to sing this song, and she really sucked, and it was 3 other little white girls that were talking shit about her while she was performing. But the funniest scene was that one little white girl. They had the youngest little white girl was laughing so hard she almost fell out her seat. It was so fucking funny, and so her father came, and she by that time she ran off the stage crying, and those other white girls were laughing. Everybody was laughing at her, and so when her father got there, you know, because she's kind of like a psychologist, so he went up to her in the back room, and he was like, because there was a song she wanted to do that she was real good at, but her father didn't think it was appropriate. He never heard the lyrics though. He just didn't like the beat, so he was like, nah, I don't like the beat. You're gonna do something nice. Like a girl your age should be doing a song like this, but she couldn't do it. It wasn't in her soul. It wasn't in her. She didn't want to do it. She couldn't do it, and she sucked trying to do it. So he knew he had messed up. So he knew in order to get his daughter's confidence back up. So he went up to her and he said, "Okay, we're gonna do that song you wanted to do," but he don't know the lyrics. So she's looking at him. "You're really gonna let me do the song?" He said, "Yeah, we're gonna," because he knew he had to get her confidence back up. So they had worked on dance moves and all this stuff. Because she wanted to dance with her father, which was cool. And so they go back out there, and that song comes on, but that song is a rap diss, like this foul language and stuff. But that little girl is cursing, and she's doing it to those other girls, which was hilariously funny. So she's looking at them, cursing them out, and rapping, and her and her father dancing. And he hears the lyrics, but he can't stop because he's worrying about his daughter's future. You know, you don't want that experience. You don't want to be responsible for your kid having this experience for the rest of their life. So he's going to support his daughter. So he lets the whole song go, and then when the song is over, he picks up the microphone because his daughter dropped the microphone, because when you diss somebody, you drop the mic. She dropped the mic. He picks up the microphone, and he goes, "Okay, I didn't know about the lyrics, and I apologize, blah blah blah." But then he looks at his daughter, and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, you're selling me out, because I had to tell those girls how I felt," and he knew she did because they were bullies. They were really bullies. So he knew she had to tell him how she felt. So he said, "Well, that's all I'm apologizing for was the language." And he drops the mic again and walks out with his daughter. So that was cool. So anybody that ever had a problem with their mom or their dad, you feel that. Like that was so, because you wish your parents had did some stuff like that. Touching. Very funny and touching. So I knew what she was trying to tell me as well. But I still wasn't going to let it escape, because this is going on for 2 years. And you got some stuff you need to face. And either you're going to face it, or you're going to keep finding yourself in the same situation. But on her natal chart, you can see that her love is waiting right there. Her love, not me. But her love is waiting right there. You can see it on the chart. But the reason why it's not there, because she won't deal with those issues. And if you go to her reading that I did, you hear me telling her that over and over again. Your love is right there. I can see your love is right there, but you won't open up. So this is why you're getting repression and stuff like that. You guys got to heal. Most of you guys just want to go through third dimension and die. You don't even care about what's on the other side. See, I fear the other side. I'm way more concerned about the other side than this life. And so were the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians, they wanted to know about the other side. What do I have to do to prepare for it? I don't want to get there and somebody's telling me I'm going to be burning in hell. I don't want to get there and somebody's going to tell me I got to do this shitty life all over again. The same crap I did before. So that's why you do. That's why you get your natal chart. That's why you take astrology seriously. It's not bubblegum astrology. It's not just about, oh, where's my love? What type of job am I going to get? You got to find out what's going on in your chart. What is it telling you? What do you need to be working on? Overcome it so you don't have to do this again. And then you'll still help other people. Because the more you overcome it, and anybody you go around, you're going to help. Even them, my neighbors, they got to learn you guys are way out of line. Way out of line. We never did nothing. I never did nothing to you. Why are you people doing this to us? You're way out of line. And like I said, their house is haunted. There's some weird stuff going over there. But that's what's going to happen. When you keep on being negative, you're going to start bringing negative entities into your life. And that's why my mom's even said to me, what's going on over their house? What's wrong with their house? Because I had already seen it. I was there when everything went wrong. But I keep trying to tell people, like, I'm an ordained minister. I'm always going to be with God. It doesn't matter what nobody's talking about. Even King David. David messed up a lot, but he was still with God. God just disciplined him. But God never left David. Some people have you thinking, oh, God never left David. God disciplined David. But on David's deathbed, David gave a list of people he wanted to be executed. He gave that list to his son Solomon. He said, make sure this list gets taken care of. And the reason why David didn't do it himself, because he thought God was going to be mad. He said, oh God, I've messed up so much that God is not going to let me kill these people that need to be dead because I was the king and they disrespected me and they should be put to death. So he felt like, because David had a strong sense of justice, so he felt like those people should be put to death, but he was scared to do it because he thought God wasn't going to back him up. So what he did on his deathbed, so God couldn't do nothing about it, to him, he gave it to Solomon, his son, and said, kill all these people. This is all in your Bible. So Solomon didn't know what to do. But I can tell you one thing, God made sure every single one of those people got killed. So God stayed loyal to David, even though David thought God was not going to be loyal. So when you're dealing with cats like me, people like me, that's all we do is walk with God and study, walk with God. So it's not going to happen. You're not just going to keep on doing disrespectful stuff and not have to answer for it. So never doubt the power of astrology. Never doubt the power of the universe. Never doubt as above, so below. Never doubt the power of the spirit. Never doubt the power of God. No matter what nobody's talking about around you. Because they'll tell you the Bible's fake. They'll tell you, oh, that doesn't matter. They'll tell you all that crazy talk. But it's so far from the truth. And the more you pick yourself up like she should have done, my friend, and work on it, you'll see it. But if you're always going to run and hide and don't want to deal with it, then it's only going to get worse. And then you're going to have to do this all over again. You might end up in the next life getting beat up. If you got beat up in this life, you're going to get beat up in the next life because you don't want to face it. You can't just like people make up the type of God they want to serve. You got people that make up a Bible. You can't tell spirit's in control. And if you do that, you're going to repeat it again, or worse, you might be burning in hell. These are facts, not just a religious belief. These are certified facts. So they say this is the final paragraph for Lilith in the 4th house. If you notice these type of behaviors, try to deactivate them, or otherwise just do something about them. Try to get healing. He said they are subconscious programs copied from your parents' behavior. You have a great chance to end these cycles. By taming Lilith, you can unify your light and dark side to a balanced whole. Because I happen to like Lilith. Lilith's very strong. That's why people don't understand me. They think I'm anti-something. No, I'm not. I like Lilith. Lilith didn't take no shit. She didn't take no shit from Adam. She didn't take no shit from God. Lilith was her own woman. I got nothing but the utmost respect for Lilith. Because nobody should be bullied. I'm totally against bullying. But I'm not going to be bullied either. And that's why Lilith always came to me. She was just saying hello. But I was like, ah! And a lot of the goddesses always come to me. A lot of the goddesses that come to me and saints, females, they were raped when they were like 13 or when they were young. And then they were murdered. They were attempted, raped, and murdered and thrown in the sea and cut up and all kind of crazy stuff. But they're very strong. And because I understand spirit, I understand the female saints, because there's a lot of female saints in the Catholic churches. But a lot of those females were just little girls, like teenage girls and stuff, and all kind of horrible stuff happened to them. So that is the fourth house. But the beauty of her fourth house is the mother's love, and Venus is there helping her. So she has to remember that. And if you do see Lilith in the moon with Venus, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a dark side and a light side. And that's why her Lilith is in repressed. It's not retrograde. So now we got a better understanding what's going on. Now your 10th house is always about karma and past life stuff. Like that's where I met my twin flame, was at the job. And then my boss's name was Damien. But Damien was the name of the devil in the movie The Omen. And plus just say the word Damon. That's day and moon. See, that's sun and moon. Damon, the balancing of the two energies. Now your 5th side is your true north node. And it's going to connect you back to your 2nd house where Aquarius is. Because normally Leo is opposite Aquarius. Aquarius rules the 11th house, which is usually opposite the 5th house ruled by Leo. Now that asteroid is Pallas. Pallas will help you see patterns. But Pallas also, when it's retrograde, it's for like people that need, like children that need help, and even any like woman rights issues, anybody that needs help. So you're doing that too. But now your 5th house is all about fun, creativity, children, taking risk. And your 3rd house is also about creativity as well. But when you have Taurus in the 5th house, you have to be very careful, because Taurus is very sensual. So if Taurus is in the 5th house and he's having fun, if he's gambling and having fun, he'll start to lose money. Because he gets caught up in the moment, he takes risk. Also, Taurus is very sensual, so it's going to be very sexual in the 5th house. And also, like, Taurus loves to eat and loves massages and stuff. But Taurus can be very magnetic, which means this person could be very attractive. But everybody wants to be with Taurus. You got to be careful. Like, if there's some type of people going together, and they say, we're going to go this way, we're going to go that way. But if Taurus comes in and Taurus wants to go another way, those people will change their what they just said. They'll change what they just said, and then they want to go where Taurus wants to go. So that's what you see, a lot of Taurus activity in your 5th house, but it's really playing off of your Aquarius energy, and because that's dealing with your money as well, possessions. So you have to be very careful that you're not just wasting things, money. And a lot of people, sometimes people do that when they stressed out. They just want to go out and have fun. They don't want to think about it. But you don't want to do that, because then you don't want to say, oh wow, I just blew a large amount of money. Sixth house with Gemini energy, and that is your nurturer. Your nurturer is that Curious asteroid. But again, your 6th house is ruled by Virgo, but it's about daily activities, service, healing, daily duties, small children, small animals, and again, Gemini could be young children again, short travel. Both Virgo and Gemini can be mental. So this person can be kind of really mental as far as really good thinkers, communications. There might even be some type of communication service, some type of travel, but a short distance. But remember, Virgo will help Gemini heal in the 6th house, because Gemini just tends to want things too quick. And Gemini will give up easy too. Like if Gemini's in the 10th house, that means somebody that has multiple careers and stuff. Like they go many part-time jobs, or they go from job to job. All right. We did look at the 12th house pretty much. But again, Sagittarius is cultured. This would be in your 9th house, it would be higher law. It would be higher class. Like you say, oh, that woman has a lot of class. It's your in-laws as well. Religion, philosophy, longer travel, longer distance. Sometimes, depending on what Sagittarius is, it could be foreign-speaking people or people from a foreign land. But for the most part, when Sagittarius is in your 12th house, it's using that energy, that cultured energy, that higher, not just because it could be a teacher too, but you're using that energy to help other people become more Sagittarians in the 12th house. Because the 12th house is supposed to be your house of service. It's also your house of karmic debt, and also a reckoning of things that are hidden. Because in the 12th house, it's supposed to come out so that you can work on it, reckon it, and work on it so that you can get healing from it. So all this goes on in the 12th house, and again, it's ruled by Pisces, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So the reason, whenever they're taking Gemini, who rules the 3rd house, and doing something with Sagittarius, because in twin flame relationships, you want the Sagittarius energy, because that's your higher self. It's more mature. The Gemini energy will not want to stay in a relationship or want to separate. So that's why the universal goal to try to heal it, putting Gemini in Virgo, the 6th house ruled by Virgo. Or sometimes I put Gemini in the 8th house because it makes it go deep, because Scorpio is going to take you deep. So we looked at the 12th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and now the 7th house. Again, this is the house of your relationships, but because it's ruled by a Libra, it can still be dealing with partnerships as well. And the 7th house also deals with enemies. Open enemies. Could be dealing with justice with the Libra. So again, family minded because of the 6-9, that's Cancer, the 4th house. So this person is going to be family minded, relationship minded, family minded. But again, Libra could be legal matters, everything I just said, justice, partnerships. Jupiter retrograde tends to question things, like something that you may not have liked before Jupiter retrograde, or question it, and maybe now you'll kind of be willing to give it a chance. Jupiter retrograde reevaluates ethics, spiritual beliefs. So what happens with that? Because you see a lot of spirituality on this chart with the 12th house. And remember, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is in the 12th house. Then you see Pisces ruled by Neptune in the 3rd house. So we don't know if their upbringing, if some of the extremities was based on religious beliefs. But what happens in this relationship, all this gets evaluated. Just like somebody might have started off in their house a certain religious belief, but as they get older, because of what they went through, now they question that. And this isn't a relationship house, so they may meet somebody that kind of helps them question their religious beliefs or what their ethical beliefs. Now you see Juno is right there, so Juno is the person you would be in a serious relationship with. But it's right at 0 degrees, which means this would be kind of like a novice situation, a beginning situation. And that's Leo in the 8th house. And a lot of times you see a soulmate with Leo in the 8th house. So this person is going to find himself in a serious relationship. And some type of soulmate or twin soul. Because a twin soul is the same soul, different body. A soulmate could be anybody in your soul family, but you have some type of unique relationship with. But that vertex is going to be like destiny or fated event. But it's definitely with Leo energy. And if you notice, her true north node is also in the 5th house, ruled by Leo with Taurus. So this can be a highly sexual, highly sensual connection. Now, there's a lot of things in the 8th house, and that's why I give the free report, because you read it's a long read, because there's so much that could happen in the 8th house, and nobody's going to have everything. So that's a long read. So that person has to have that themselves. They can read it. But we can already tell it's going to be highly sexual. And because it's Leo, going to be kind of bold, very passionate, very fiery. And Taurus and Libra, all about just high sexuality. So with Jupiter retrograde, you look more at how to keep it together than at how to separate. And usually the 6th house opposes the 12th, is opposite the 12th. And in your case, and on this chart, it's almost that way. They did it kind of slick. But it's almost like saying both the 6th house and the 7th house is opposing that 12th house. So again, it could be a Leo or a leader-like energy in 8th house matters. And that matter ranges from anything, death, rebirth. It could be science, metaphysics, higher sciences, astrology, reincarnation, debt and taxes. It's just too many. It could be an agent for somebody. It's so many areas. So that's why you have a list. But this will be where you find your serious relationship. And that serious relationship will either be soulmate or twin flame relationship. And sometimes it could be the same person. Sometimes it could be the different person. That's why you got to know your natal chart. And then when you meet these people, you'll begin to find out what their astrological signs are. So we already did the 9th house, which her 9th house is going to connect back to the 7th house because of the Libra. Libra rules the 7th house. And that medium coeli is going to connect pretty much to the true north node, which is down there where you see Taurus. So with this Leo, it looks like finances are going to kind of be connected to sexuality as well. Now, what happens in the 11th house, when you see like Scorpio in the 11th house, that's friends, association, and groups. But when you see a Neptune retrograde with Scorpio, this is going to be extreme escapism, drug use, any forms of alcohol, addictions, because that's what the 8th house can be. Addictions, power struggles. Now, Scorpio is probably the most powerfulest sign in the constellation. And see, Scorpio really is a type of Lilith energy, hidden things. It rules the 8th house. And Scorpio can already be aggressive. Power, like I said, power struggle. So what happens in 11th house with that Neptune retrograde, this is escapist. Like I said, this person just wants to keep all that thought because they're both. Neptune retrograde is a lot like Scorpio. They ain't trying to tell you nothing. And that's why I said that's what I'm trying to tell you. You meet people because that was the problem with this person. They're gonna keep hanging out, but they're always gonna be secretive because that's what they were. The Sun sign Scorpio. They're always gonna be secretive, but it's gonna come a time when it's gonna have to be confronted. And since they have a habit of not talking and stuff like that, that's when like you're busted, and then they gotta fake it. They gotta fake some other stuff, like, oh, I'm leaving because of this reason. No, you're not. You're leaving because of that reason, because you don't want to face none of this junk, and now you can't get away with it. So now you're coming up with some stupid stuff for the reason you're leaving, which isn't acceptable because it doesn't even make sense. And that's why I said in other circumstances maybe it'd be handled differently. But going back to what I said earlier, if you are somebody's psychologist, doesn't matter what that person wants. If they came to you to help them overcome the trauma they had growing up and all of that, it's unethical for you to take advantage of that person, even if they're asking for it. That's ethics. But a whole lot of people will say, nah, she wanted it. You don't understand, she's very aggressive. But you were sent in to help her deal with it, not take advantage of her, even if she wanted it. So these are what I'm trying to say. And only, like I said, some people can understand that, other people can't. But for people to understand ethics and things like that, because to me, you're just as bad as the person that took advantage of her. I don't care what the circumstance was. Because you're, like I said, if you're an officer, you don't tell a person, okay, I'm going to arrest you unless you give me sex. Well, then you're a rapist. You should be locked up too. Why? Just because you have a badge and a uniform, you can get away with it? So that's the point being made here, is that very intense 11th house. Very intense. And then now, when you see Vesta in 11th house, that's where she spends a lot of money. Like in her lifetime, she's probably done a lot of partying. Because Vesta is where you spend most of your energy. That little wavy asteroid at 28 degrees, that's Vesta. And if you notice, she has a couple of things at 28 degrees. So Vesta can either be a priestess, or she can be a highly sexual priestess. And that's what's going on here in the 11th house. Now for the Mars retrograde. When Mars is retrograde, it can create anger and discord. So once again, this person's still dealing with a lot of repression because it's going to go inward. But it can also cause self-doubt. Say this person can be passive-aggressive in her anger, stress and anguish. And then if it does come out, it comes out in unhealthy ways. See, when you got Neptune retrograde with Scorpio, it could be alcohol, it could be all kind of crap. You know, a person just goes off yelling. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really knows why. Or they say, well, you know, this person's weird. They go from 0 to 100. But they're not understanding why. So again, I'm going to stress that when anybody who's dealing with regression, or repressed feelings, you have to realize that they're going to keep coming back. So it's not really it's not your job's fault or your boss's or your friend's fault if, say, 2 years go by, 3 years go by, and then all of a sudden this stuff comes back again, because you have to work on it. And that's nobody's fault, because just like if you were a talent, say you were real talented, and the country wants to invest in you to help you fulfill your dream, and it's an investment for them, they're going to make a lot of money off of you. But if you're not stable, they're not going to invest in you like that. They're saying, look, we can't invest in all this money in this person because they're not reliable or stable. So these are things you have to do. And like I said, to think somebody's just going to love you, that's kind of immature, because nobody's just going to keep taking somebody's dirt and all that crap, because that's what's going on now with these people. They just think you're going to keep taking it, and they won't deal with it, and then they get worse. Instead of saying, hey, he's right, they get worse, which causes me to do more. And then unfortunately, like I said, that's when the expose happens, because then that's when a lot of dirty laundry comes out. So with the Mars retrograde, that's a person could blow up. And then you got the Neptune retrograde, which is addiction. Scorpio is addiction. all kind of stuff going on. So that's a very intense 8th house, 11th house, excuse me. But remember who you got, Aries. So then once again, you're going to go back to your first house first, because Mars rules Aries. You're going to go back to your first house again with that Capricorn energy, and you're going to go where you find Aries in the house. So you can see why these reasons are so intense. All right, so I just want to read a little bit more about that Mars retrograde. See, and when you're dealing with Scorpio and Mars retrograde, you can have problems with illness, heightened stress, increase in conflicts and road rage. Short tempers. So they say sometimes this person, Mars retrograde, might be a person who has difficulty speaking up for themselves, a lack of self-confidence, a lack of direction. See what happened? Well, what I'm trying to tell you is, what happens is the universe might send somebody to help you heal, but with these type, because that's what she did, you latch on to that person. But see, the universe didn't send that person for you to latch onto them or make them your boyfriend. That person's trying to help you get up on your 2 feet so you can move on with your life. And that's why I said it's somewhat of a coward move to do that. Because you say, oh, no, I don't want to stand on my own 2 feet. I'd rather tap into your energy. But the universe ain't going to send you somebody that's going to let you get away with that. Just like I'm not going to let them get away with what they're doing. And that's been a long time. They've been smacking the crap out of me. Smacking the crap because I didn't want this day. And it's funny how the devil works, because just as this is about to heat up, now they got other men out there. You know, like the regular crew they usually use, all of a sudden, now that this is popping off, now they got a whole new crew. Ugly looking dudes. Big ugly dudes. And I just got rid of one ugly dude off this block. So the devil doesn't stop. So that's why we can only do so much, because we got our own war we're fighting. So when we meet somebody that don't want to stand up and all that, it's like, no, that's so selfish. Because I'm standing up every day. I'm fighting for you every day. But now you can't stand up. So we can't run in that. Again, that's another trait. I said a Neptune retrograde wants to run. And a lot of times Scorpio too. Especially like when they're together. So that person has to find that place they can go to that's going to help them stand. Once I show you the areas of what's on the chart, but that person has to find that place where they have to stand and deal with all those dark, because Scorpio rules the 8th house, that's the dark house, shadow side, but so does the 12th house, the same thing. Person with Mars retrograde, they might feel like they're a doormat to other people. So in a past life, you may have had to perform regrettable acts. So they say this person has to find ways to reduce their stress. Hobbies or whatever they have. Because again, anything like Saturn retrograde or Mars retrograde, it's also dealing with impatience. So the person has to learn how to be patient. And again, like I said, like the universe is what I say. Like I said, you got two dudes I never really seen before, but I know one of them dudes is the one that put all that stuff in front of our house because our neighbor told him to do it. So they're all out there. Now I could run out there, but I don't know them dudes. Them dudes don't know me. As far as I don't even know if the other dude is the same dude that threw the stuff in my garbage can. I really don't know. So you can run out there. You might even have the wrong guy or whatever, but you gotta wait because phone calls have been made. Today's a holiday. You gotta wait till people come back to the office. It's a whole lot of stuff gonna go down. So even though you don't like the idea of these guys out here and blah blah blah, it's nothing you can do at this point. Because if you do, it's only gonna escalate the situation, and then more people are gonna look at you like, why didn't you just wait? It was only gonna be one more day before they came back from the holiday. So it makes you look like you're looking for a fight when in actuality they're the ones with all this crazy stuff. So it's one of them things. And this life is not meant to be easy. A lot of people think that it is. So if you you're gonna have challenges. Anything you gotta go to, anything you gotta go through or go to is gonna be some type of challenges. All right. So it says now you gotta find a place where you can go to calm your emotions and stress, and you have to learn how to look inward and examine and overcome the issues that you brought into this life to work on. And then when they say brought into this life, a lot of times they say that's the ascendant. They say you come into this life through the ascendant. And when you see Capricorn or whatever, that's always going to be dealing with karma. Like I said, you could be an old soul. Yeah, the final house we got to work on is Sagittarius. This is your higher self house, ruled by Sagittarius, but more Virgos in there. So what's ever going on in your sixth house is going on in your ninth house, and that's again because they want Jeremiah to be more mature. All right. Again, Virgo is all about service. This could even be service like in a foreign land. All right. Okay, we're talking about the Mars retrograde. Passive to aggressive, 0 to 100. Yeah, that was the main thing I was trying to bring out. Like in the past, like this person may have been kind of coerced to do things they didn't want to, like a soldier. They tell a soldier just go in there and do it. Don't question the orders or whatever. Well, they'll expect somebody else to like really fight. They'll get upset. And when they don't realize that it's not that person's fault to fight your wars for you. So, like I said, all these are topics that come out this year. Anything with this month come out this month, probably in the next year as well. Anything that's hidden, anything that's repressed, and the universe is really bringing out so the person can deal with it. But human nature, they don't want to deal with it, and they'll strike out at the person that they think is bringing it, but it's really the universe. So now where Virgo is again, because Virgo can also represent the home, and yet it's in the ninth house, so it could always be some type of security, like they would call it homeland and security, but it wouldn't necessarily be your homeland. And that Pluto retrograde, again, it takes something away. It just comes out of nowhere. But the reason why it does that, because a lot of times this person is dependent on someone or something, and in order for them to get over it, Pluto has to take that away. And then remember, if you see a Virgo, you go back to your sixth house, because Virgo rules the sixth house, and then that's where you have your Sagittarius. That's where you have your Gemini. So in the ninth house, the Pluto retrograde is trying to take away something that you can see that you don't need it. And Uranus retrograde is just the opposite of whatever. If it was quiet, it'll be fast. I mean louder. If it's loud, it'll be quiet. It's very unpredictable. But when you see Virgo, it's always going to be back in the home. And it's still helping you to grow out of that Gemini energy until Sagittarius energy, which is more mature, and then that's what you have there. And the 12th house, Sagittarius is representing that. Like if you have planet Jupiter in your 12th house, that's a person that's going to be always have money, but it's based on how they serve, because it's the 12th house. But you don't really have Jupiter in your 12th house, really, but you do have Sagittarius, was ruled by Jupiter, and you have good fortune. And like most of the time, wherever you have good fortune, that's like saying that this is where it's going to happen. But we're going to look at that. And they also call good fortune part of fortune that circle with the X going through it. With good fortune in the 12th house. So good fortune in 12th house is there to help you transform your karma. So again, so when a person doesn't want to deal with these issues or don't really want to face it, good fortune will help the person. And that's why you can get mad at a person that's telling you to face it, but they're actually doing what's best for you. See, that's why I try to say a lot of times on this planet, in third dimensional, you actually get in more trouble doing the right thing than you do doing the wrong. And you actually become the bad guy. But that's why God is still going to use the so-called whistleblowers or whoever. Because otherwise the world would stay in that dark thing. But then when they get to hell, they're all crying. But once you get to hell, there is no coming back. There is an okay, sorry, we're going to send you down and you can go again. We hear you screaming because you're on fire, but we'll send you back down and give you another shot. Let's not know it's over. Or if you're going through the same thing you've already been through, like, oh, this is deja vu. Why does it seem like this has happened before? Yeah, because you won't listen to the universe, so you find yourself doing it all over again. So that's what the good fortune in your 12th house is there. They're giving you extra power and a unique opportunity to transform or dissolve your own karma, which most people can't do that. But you also have a mediumistic skill, and that's why where we saw Scorpio, like even your 11th house, that's friends associated in groups, because that's who become your clients. And actually, this person can have the gift of prophecy too. So whether you knew that or not, you have mediumistic skills and the gift of prophecy. Your dreams often give you your answers. That's why, because of the 12th house, especially, but even the 8th, but because of the 12th house, it's good to take notes have a dream journal. So you'll have a flair for spirituality, mysticism, illusion, and fantasy. But that can help you be productive in film, television, works of fiction. So anything with creative art. That's why when you're talking about Gemini and Leo, most creative energies. But Scorpio is a very creative energy too. So your enemies will sometimes change their attitude from hostility to neutral when it comes to you. And they may even become benevolent. But this is all because of your 12th house, that good fortune in the 12th house. And they say this person is generally unaware of the good fortune. And because your good fortune is in the 12th house, you're treated quite well by healthcare professionals. And that's interesting because your healthcare indicator is Virgo. Virgo is all about health, but that's in your 9th house. And then the leader of your 9th house, Sagittarius, is in your 12th house. So that definitely get good response from healthcare connections. Now you can do part of fortune, which is also good fortune, in Sagittarius. So this person will be adventurous and expansive. So they become happier and fulfilled when they reach out to vaster mental and philosophical horizons. So again, we already saw the teacher and stuff like that, but in the 12th house, they could almost end up teaching some type of adventurous or philosophical. Because that Sagittarius has to be careful, because Sagittarius is like that, like high teacher. And when they get in the 12th house, they're saying, hey, listen, I'm smart. Therefore, they should serve me. And they forget that they're supposed to be serving the people. And you see that a lot. So the way they put this person's chart together is it's all kind of connecting itself. But it's almost like two different agendas or times, but they're all operating on one lifetime. But the person's gotta want to follow those retrogrades, because that's areas they need to address, because all that's gonna deal with your karmic debt, your karma debt has to be met. So it's almost like a fiery almost like a lively fiery energy going up against a more earthy or more reserved energy, but it can also get watery. So it looks like this your soulmate, or if there might be your soulmate, your twin soul. They kind of come in your life to help you deal with this. So this will conclude the reading of this natal chart. Remember, we do have sales going on. Make sure you have the most recent services offered price list. And remember, we do anything with natal charts, anything on readings. Some people might call it horoscopes. We do that. We're also offering right now the entire year of 2019. As far as telling you how that's going to go. Sometimes you can do it by 3 months basis if you want. And that's why I said the information itself is helpful, but you have to want to deal with it. And sometimes, like I said, some of the stuff can be painful, especially dealing with family issues and things like that. But what you have to understand is the universe is doing this for a reason, and it's kind of unfair to put that on somebody else. It's kind of unfair to that person, because the person may really want to help you heal. They may really want to help you heal. And that's why I say in third dimensional, we're just very immature. As adults, we're very immature. And a lot of times we're selfish. It's what about me? What about me? And that's why I said a real professional is not gonna that's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry if you've been through some stuff, or it's just easier for you to handle everything sexually, but you got to deal with that. And there's a reason why you went through all the things. Not necessarily this person. It could be, I'm primarily speaking about my friend, but all of us are dealing with some kind of repression. So it's just kind of unfair. It's unfair. And that's why I said that's typical Neptune retrograde or Scorpio. Oh, let's just get high. Let's just have sex, but never deal with it. And then you wake up and you're burning somewhere in hell, or you wake up and you got to do this crap all over again. So I teach real astrology, not bubblegum astrology. Not just gonna go, hey, look at Venus. Hey, Venus next to the moon. Oh, that's gonna be passion. Wow, that's very passionate. oh, it's going to be very passionate with Aries. They're just ripping you off. They're not really telling you what's going on. But they'll tell you what they need to tell you to get that money out of your hand. And then it's up to you whether you figure this stuff out. And if you don't have anybody telling you the truth, you can never figure it out. So it's a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on. But that's life. That's called life. We all have it. So hopefully that'll help someone. God bless.